Julius Caesar, fearless general, brilliant conqueror, the man who reshaped Rome. We think we know his legend, but through his own powerful quotes, you're about to see the real Caesar, complex, superstitious, ambitious but insecure, ruthless, but far more human than history admits.
Do you not think it is matter for sorrow that while Alexander, at my age, was already king of so many peoples, I have as yet achieved no brilliant success?
Wait, Julius Caesar? The man we picture as bold, cold, and unstoppable, crying because another man had done more by his age? That sounds almost shocking. But that is exactly what ancient writers say happened in Spain around 68 or 67 BC. Back then, Caesar was still a young official in his early 30s. He read about Alexander the Great, who had already conquered most of the known world by that age. Caesar broke down in tears. He felt he was behind. He felt small. And that moment matters, because it shows something fierce inside him, not just ambition, but a painful hunger to become great. A few years later, while traveling through the Alps, he gave us the second line.
I would rather be first in a village than second in Rome.
That is not a joke. That is a life plan. That is powerful. Rome was the center of the world, yet Caesar would rather rule a tiny place than be second in a great one. These two quotes reveal his obsession. He did not just want success. He wanted to be number one, and he would risk everything to get there.
Set a high price on yourself, for the world will not raise your price.
This one sounds like a modern confidence slogan, but honestly, the line itself is a modern paraphrase. The attitude behind it, though, is pure Caesar. When he was about 25, Cilician pirates captured him near the island of Pharmacusa. They demanded a ransom of 20 talents of silver. Caesar did not beg. He did not panic. He laughed. He told them they clearly had no idea who they had captured, and he made them raise the ransom to 50 talents. Imagine that scene, a prisoner correcting his kidnappers because they had priced him too low. And he did not stop there. Caesar joked with them, ordered them to be quiet when he wanted to sleep, read them his poems, and often laughingly threatened to crucify them all. After his ransom was paid and he was set free, Caesar raised a small fleet, hunted the pirates down, captured them, and crucified them, just as he promised. People often think of Caesar as a secret planner working in the shadows, but this story shows a different side, bold, reckless, fearless. Ancient writers even say he would ride his horse at full speed with his hands behind his back, just to show control. He was not just ambitious, he was daring to the point of danger.
Mother, today thou shalt see thy son either Pontifex Maximus or an exile.
This sounds like a line from a gambler walking into one final game. Caesar said this in 63 BC to his mother Aurelia before the election for Rome's highest religious position. He was only 37, but already deep in debt and taking huge risks. If he won, he gained power, honor, and safety. If he lost, his enemies and his creditors might crush him. So this was not drama for fun. For Caesar, politics was often all or nothing. He lived on the edge, and he knew it. That is why his other line is so revealing.
Fortune, which has a great deal of power in other matters, but especially in war, can bring about great changes in a situation through very slight forces.
Julius Caesar was a brilliant planner, but like many Romans, he also believed luck, timing, and tiny accidents could change everything. A missed step, a late message, a frightened horse, any of these could decide a battle or a career. So here we see a surprising mix. A man of iron will who still believed fate could flip his world upside down in a moment.
My wife ought not even to be under suspicion.
This feels cold, harsh, but it shows how carefully Caesar protected his public image. In 62 BC, a shocking scandal hit Rome. A man named Clodius secretly entered a women-only religious festival held in Caesar's house. Caesar's wife, Pompeia, was suspected of involvement. She was probably innocent, In fact, no proof was found against her. Yet Caesar divorced her anyway. In Roman politics, reputation was everything. A whisper of scandal could destroy a career. So Caesar made a statement. His household must be pure in the eyes of the people. That is why the saying, Caesar's wife must be above suspicion, survived for centuries. It sounds noble, but it also reveals something harder about Caesar. He could sacrifice a personal relationship to protect the image of control, dignity, and authority that he wanted Rome to see.
He seated himself at the head of the lines in front of the camp. The Gallic chieftains are brought before him. They surrender Vercingetorix and lay down their arms.
Not I sat, not I received them. Caesar wrote about himself as he. That is one of the strangest things about his surviving words. Most of the real lines we can verify from Julius Caesar come from his own war books, especially the Gallic War, and he often writes in the third person, as if you were already a legend being watched from outside. It sounds calm and official, but it is also brilliant image-making. In this scene from 52 BC, after the fall of Alesia, Caesar presents the surrender of Vercingetorix like a statue carved in words. Caesar seated, the defeated chiefs brought before him, Gaul laid down at his feet. He also claimed gigantic numbers for the enemy dead and captured, even speaking of 1 million Gauls killed. Then, in 47 BC, after beating Pharnaces in just 5 days, he sent the most famous victory report in history.
I came, I saw, I conquered.
3 words. An entire war reduced to a sentence. 3 words. One ego, one masterpiece of political branding. Brilliant? Yes. Arrogant? Maybe. Caesar was not just fighting wars. He was shaping his own legend.
When you are looking at his hair, which is arranged with so much nicety, and see him scratching his head with one finger.
Now, this is almost funny. That's of course not Caesar speaking. This is Cicero, one of the smartest men in Rome. He looked at Caesar's carefully arranged hair and the delicate way he scratched his head with one finger, and thought, surely a man this polished cannot be the one who will destroy the Republic. What a mistake. And Cicero would learn it the hard way. That riddle image is powerful because it shows how easy Caesar was to misread. People expect danger to look rough, loud, and wild. Caesar often looked elegant, controlled, and almost soft. Later, Suetonius says he was extremely careful about his appearance, shaved, trimmed, even having extra body hair plucked out. And then comes the most human detail of all. His baldness deeply bothered him. The conqueror of Gaul, the terror of Rome, was insecure about his hairline. He is said to have treasured the right to wear a laurel wreath partly because it helped hide it. So what do these details reveal? Not weakness, not silliness. They reveal a man obsessed with presentation. Caesar understood that power was not only won on battlefields, it was also worn on the body, staged in public, and managed like a performance.
There are also animals which are called elks, much like roes, but destitute of horns and have legs without joints. Nor do they lie down for the purpose of rest. Nor, if they have been thrown down by any accident, can they raise or lift themselves up. Trees serve as beds to them. They lean themselves against them.
An elk with no joints? That cannot lie down? This sounds more like a campfire story than a military report. Why would a serious general write this? When we read his books, we must remember, Caesar was writing for the public in Rome. He wanted to appear brave, intelligent, victorious, and fascinating. His books were political writing. He was describing lands far from Rome to readers who had never seen them. The stranger and more mysterious the world looked, the more impressive Caesar himself appeared. Explorer, conqueror, master of the unknown. Marco Polo played the same trick many centuries later. So when we hear this fairy tale elk story, we should smile but also grow cautious. If Caesar could twist or misunderstand nature this badly, what about enemy numbers, battle scenes, or speeches? His books are priceless sources, but they are also carefully shaped stories, written by a man who always wanted to look larger than life. Sometimes, legends are carefully written by the heroes themselves. Thanks for watching. Check out the full playlist of similar videos on your screen now.